tonight's program. And as I said, if you do have a cell phone, just make sure that you silence it. Like many of the programs that we have here, tonight's program is brought to you by more than 1,500 New Canaan families who are very generous benefactors of the New Canaan Library. So thank you to those donors who support us so well. Our special guest tonight is relationship coach Candace Brindley. She has a background in the fields of banking, sales, and education in Europe, Hong Kong, New York, and Connecticut. She has 2 wonderful grown sons and a stepdaughter, all with their own families. She is also a professional member of the Relationship Coaching Institute. So welcome.
This is so great to be here. Do I really need the mic, or can I move around? Mic? Oh, that's a good reason. Okay, so thank you, Lori, for hosting this here at this beautiful New Canaan Library, and thank you all for coming out on this foggy night. I think you'll find it very informative and maybe surprising. I hope not controversial. But we're going to pack a lot into tonight's program. I am going to pack a lot in. So I'm going to start off with a question. I want to ask you, are you hoping to be able to find lasting love with an ideal partner? Hands? You're in the right place. You've definitely come to the right place. This is what we're doing tonight, and I can honestly say this information tonight is for men or women from age 22 to 72 and beyond. It's going to be perfect for anybody. People ask me, well, do I need to be in a relationship, or you know, no matter what stage of the game you're at, I'm sure we're all at different stages and phases, and we all have different experiences and stories. But wherever you are, this is perfect. You're in the right place. So personally, just a little note about myself. I never, in my basically 20 and counting years of being single, heard anyone give a talk like this. I never have. And after my second divorce, I realized I couldn't go forward. I was doing something wrong. I didn't know what it was. I knew I was a fairly intelligent person. I had been around the world. I had accomplished a lot of things, so I didn't know what in the world I could be doing wrong. And I read a lot of books, of course, and would put them back on the shelf and then would sort of default to my old habits and beliefs and attitudes and so on. But I could never figure out, except there were a couple of books I do remember. He's Just Not That Into You. It was a great book, I thought, really funny and fun from the man's point of view about choosing your partner. I thought that was great. But for the most part, I put them on the shelf and forgot them. So not until I started this path to becoming a relationship coach did I ever hear what I'm going to be talking about tonight. And I am so excited to know this information and to be sharing it. And that's what I am now doing. I'm working with singles, and I'm sharing this information because it will change a person's life completely. It's transformative, it's life-changing, it's really amazing to have this information and to be conscious of it. So what I do know about singles, is that we wing it. When it comes to love, we wing it, and we figure, how could we go wrong? I mean, surely we'll love somebody out there, and somebody will surely love us, and that will be great, and then everything will be fine and dandy. But unfortunately, we know that the system that we've been using is flawed, because the divorce rate is at 50% plus, and second time around, second marriages are 80% plus divorce. So people just aren't facing that, and they put excuses on a lot of different things. But what I'm going to be talking about tonight is, how to get around that, how to do it right, how to succeed at this process. It's interesting to me that anything we want to get good at, whether it's bridge or golf or tennis or a profession, being a lawyer, being a doctor, we study long and hard and we pay a lot of attention to how to go about doing it. But when it comes to relationships, we, it's supposed to just come naturally. And yet it colors our life more than any other decision that we ever make. So I really think it's, I respect your desire to know more about this and your coming out tonight and being here. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to kind of tackle this enormous subject in 4 points tonight. Recognizing the role of chemistry, clearing for mental, physical, and emotional takeoff, becoming a beacon for the life and partner you want, and fine-tuning your attraction skills. So, Cupid. While we all want to find love, we're actually hardwired for lust. Thousands of years ago, chemistry was all man needed to survive. It was, the first part was propagation of the species, the second part was to care for the young. And chemistry got the job done. So the issue now is that these hormones and chemicals that are surging through our bodies when we're attracted to somebody are very, very powerful. And they actually hijack our brains and wipe out any rational thought. They do cause us to bond. They cause us to feel really great. Body to body is nothing like it. Feel great. They cause us to obsess about each other. The chemicals are literally compared to, in the lab, they are the same as crack cocaine, and the obsession chemicals that run through us are the same in the brain as an OCD patient, an obsessive compulsive disorder patient. And I think we know that, when we have a friend who's flipped out and in love, bit by Cupid, they obsess. I mean, that's all they want to talk about, it's all they want to think about. So, I mean, I'm sure most of the people in this room have experienced what that's like. So, I'm not here to say that attraction doesn't matter. We definitely need attraction. And we still need the nurture part. We need to take care of our young. But we don't want to lose the ability to think rationally. And that is what we all do when we feel, chemistry. So if we're not able to manage this chemical cocktail, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. Because the other interesting fact about chemistry is that it has a shelf life. And it's only good for about 12 to 24 months. So we run out. And most marriages fail in the 3rd year because they're moving along great, everything feels great, and then lo and behold, they wake up and start to see who they actually married. And it's a big surprise and a big shock sometimes, So that's when people say, what? How can she be? What a jerk. All of that starts happening. And then people get divorced and it falls apart, and then they go out and start over again. So the moral of the story there is that chemistry is great for the initial attraction and great for the glue that bonds us during our tough times. But we have to look at the full picture. So that's what we're going to do. I'd like to ask you again, what are some of the thoughts or feelings that come to mind when you hear the word dating or you think of going on a date? Anybody? Yep. Perfect. Okay, disappointment, yuck. Anybody else? Oh, great. Roller coaster. Yes? Not again. everybody must have these. I mean, you know, I've heard people say it's tedious, it's frustrating, it's expensive. Anybody, well, everybody. People who have just recently divorced and contemplate dating have said this to me. Feels like jumping out of an airplane without a parachute. And, you know, I get it. I really get it. It's just times have changed from when you've been out there dating before. And if you met your sweetheart on your college campus, you know, things have really changed. But it's also fun. It's fun as like getting mail in your in your inbox from Match.com. Somebody thinks you're so cute. Or you know, just the freedom to meet new people. It's fun. So there's, you know, and then it brings up a lot of questions, like how are we going to juggle a new person in our lives? How are we going to show up on this date? How are we going to behave?
I find it influenced in part by whether or not somebody takes some time to recover from a past relationship before they jump into something else. And in my opinion, in my what I watch, I happen to be a psychotherapist, what I see more men jumping into it real quick, because it's almost like they're not always comfortable trying to find out who they are at that point in time in their lives. And so if a woman is trying to go out on a date and a guy is not quite ready to get involved, but he's ready to cope with not being alone, therein lies
Yeah.
the first problem.
Well, thanks for that. I mean, I'm going to be talking more about that. But definitely, sometimes the women want to jump back in quick because they're trying to, you know, assuage that feeling of rejection. Sometimes men just want somebody to keep up cooking dinner or, you know, whatever. I mean, so people can get very needy around it. But I will be talking about that more. So there's all these questions: how we're going to juggle our life, how we're going to show up, how we're going to say no. I think that's one of the hardest parts of dating, is learning how to say no graciously. No, thank you. So in the midst of all this fear on one side and anticipation on the other, when somebody comes along and shows, and we feel chemistry with them, or they show an interest in us, oh boy, we are off to the races. Because this means we can get out of that crazy world of dating. And this, everybody, is the big pivotal moment of your life. This is when, after tonight, you won't be thinking of, oh great, I can stop dating now. You'll be thinking, you can flip the switch from just being carried away on the, you know, wings of chemistry to actually feeling like I want to take this on consciously. I want to know what I'm doing. I want to, you know, I want to be clear-headed about this. I want to enjoy the ride. I want to enjoy every part of it, but I want to be really clear about it. So here's how we do that. We start with this might be the easy part for people, but we start with the physical. We have to get ourselves ready, and we have to prepare. And the first, and sort of maybe for some people, maybe not, the easiest way is to prepare physically. And this has to do with the energy we're putting out too. If somebody were to show up tomorrow night at your front door, you know, would they sense that your heart is open to love? Would they sense that you're ready? And I think for a lot of people, there's probably some work to be done here. Just even cleaning out the closets, making room for some extra hangers, making room in the garage for a second car, cleaning the teddy bears off the bed and the dolls, managing your finances. You know, it's going to be different for everybody. Cleaning the clutter. Think of staging your life for love, just like you would stage your house for sale. Okay, We got that one, right? So you're going to physically get ready. It's not as easy as it sounds. If you go home and look at your place, do you really have room for a second person? Okay, how about emotionally? Clearing out the emotional baggage. I hate that word baggage, I say that my baggage has turned into character. You know, that I've really looked at it, unpacked it all, and, you know, I'd like to think that it's character. So, if you're feeling some of these things, you should date for fun. Don't be dating seriously to find a life partner. Give yourself plenty of time to clear out the emotional stuff. You basically have to heal it. People carry resentments. If you're carrying resentments, it's not going to work. Every single part of you is reflected in your relationships. And so if you think it doesn't matter, you're just rationalizing. Every part of you needs to be addressed and looked at and cleaned up and cleared out to see if you're really ready to be with another person. So these are the blocks and the hurdles. And it's funny, but some of these are actually invisible to us. We don't even know them. So we have to start listening to what we actually say to people and what are our behaviors. It's like we're fish swimming in the water. We don't see it. It's our natural environment. And so when you start noticing that you're complaining and you know, bitching about an old boyfriend or an ex-husband or something, you know, you've got to take some time to work it through. So let's see. Oh, I know. A very helpful way to get through these hurdles is with the law of attraction. The law of attraction, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the law of attraction. It's probably the most powerful force in the universe. And it's very simple, and it says we will attract to ourselves more of what we focus on, what we pay attention to, you know. And so if we're paying attention to resentments or feeling too old or to, you know, the good ones are taken, my town is too small, I'm still in love with my ex. If you're focusing on those things, that's the energy you get more of. So we can actually manipulate our energy. And we can start our day with gratitudes and affirmations. Tony Robbins says that you can't really hold fear at the same time as you hold gratitude. So that's kind of cool because most of these are about fear. So if you're able to if you're able to replace a fear with a gratitude or an affirmation, you'll probably drop out, at least for that moment, the fear. So I really think waking up every morning and going through your very selected affirmations and gratitudes is a great way to start the day and start kind of changing the energy around you. The law of attraction doesn't care if we think good thoughts or bad thoughts, is impartial. It will attract more to you of whatever it is you're focusing on. Okay. This is an excavation site, and it represents an excavation site. And the idea is to start doing some detective work on yourself. Because you want to be able to define in clear terms who you are, as well as who your ideal partner is. And the reason for doing this is that you will be able to measure your long-term success with somebody. You'll be able to measure the possibility with people if there's a success possibility. The second reason is that you'll know where to find them once you finish this. So what do you think happens when you start doing all this work? Basically, yeah.
I was going to say, as long as you go through all of that and you answer all of them honestly, you have it set in your head
Mm-hmm.
You're not confused. You're not just wandering about. You have purpose.
Great. So you have purpose in mind. You're also putting that energy out, and more of those people start showing up. It's kind of interesting. Now, I have a list here of 150 values. If I gave that to you and you took some time, would you be able to choose 5 of your top values and number them 1 through 5, and then find 5 values that you'd want to share with your partner? And this is just a list of 150. There's a lot more than this. I mean, you might come up with something that's not even on this list. So this takes some thought. You know, that means leaving a lot of things off. So you really have to prioritize your values and figure out where you stand. Okay, so the next one is life purpose. And life purpose is an investigation of why you think you're here. Why were you born? What are you here to learn? What are you here to offer others? What is your life's work? It's very important to know that. When people reach middle age and they don't know what their life purpose is, they have midlife crises because they suddenly start asking, what is the meaning of life? I'm just going around in circles. It's like they've packed the car for vacation and they're just driving in circles. So, you know, it's important to start figuring this out. And it's kind of a combination of your skills and your talents and your aptitudes and what you have natural passion for, what you could do all day, every day, and not even get paid for, and you would still be very happy doing it. And it's important. Dr. John Gottman, who is a leading relationship expert, in his research found that 69% of couples who failed because they did not have life purposes that were in alignment. And it makes sense. If you're with someone and eventually over time you start to see that their life purpose is in conflict with yours, or if you don't respect their life purpose, it's really hard to be connected and intimate and in love with them over the years. So you can imagine how you would grow apart from someone. And so it's important to be able to find out over time what somebody's life purpose is. Again, the needs and the wants. This is, let me do the deal breakers. I love the deal breakers. Okay, so let me hear some people's deal breakers. These are black and white, non-negotiable, show up in behaviors, drop dead, bam. This person is not for me. They're great, but they're not for me.
For me, sociopath.
Okay. Okay. Let me say this, that you have sort of between 5 and 8 deal breakers usually. So it's like I could say addiction to this, addiction to that, addiction, you know, but for me addiction's not even on my radar, because it's on your radar because you're probably a doctor of psychiatry and you recognize all that. For me, it's like not even on my radar.
Well, I mean, I guess by that I mean people who want to use and who can't have the capacity to really be genuine. That defines sociopath a little bit more in a relationship.
Oh, say it again, please.
For people who can't seem to be genuine
Oh.
and real, it makes it real tough to have a
Oh,
relationship.
absolutely. Yeah, that helps. That makes it clear. Someone else? Jen? Yeah. It's great to know them. Yep.
Basic emotional balance.
Yep.
I mean, not crazy, not self-absorbed, but just a balance in how they act and in their life.
Yeah. I can't tell you the number of men I've gone out with who have told me that they're looking for a woman who is not, that their ex was insane and crazy. And I mean, I do think that's half the story in a lot of cases. But, you know, it seems to be rampant that people are crazy. It's like going on a lot. Yeah?
Narcissistic people who have no spiritual awareness.
Yeah. And you know, another reason that it's so good to think about these is that, you know, the imago theory idea, and that is, you know, that we will try to pair up with our parents, you know, with people who are like our parents. It's like unfinished business that we want to get approval, we want to get everything worked out that may not have been worked out in the home. And so, you know, say you have a father who has issues of some sort or another, you know, you may be repeating that. So by forming your own, do you know what I'm saying? You may be jumping back into a relationship really to finish old business. And it may not be where your dreams are at all. And that's another reason for mapping out your dreams and defining them so clearly and believing them is about the energy. And focusing on this so that you don't repeat old relationships again and again. So deal breakers, yeah. Usually they're around religion, about having children, can be around geography, you know, will not live in the city, will not live in the country. As you get older, there are more come up, like it could be around politics, life view. Life view is sort of life purpose, and it goes together, I think. So, you know, it's good to know what your deal breakers are, because you should not be wasting time with people where there are these irreconcilable differences right off the bat. Okay, so what else do we have? We have needs and wants. Now we're getting down where there's some flexibility. With needs, anytime your needs are not met, you'll have an issue. So they do matter, but they are flexible somewhat. It could be you need somebody to be neat and tidy. Could be you need them to handle money a certain way. You need them to be organized. Anybody, any other good ideas about around needs? Honest. Oh yeah, good communicator. Sense of humor. Yeah.
I would say the ability to be a partner as opposed to, for example, somebody who wants to sit back and let somebody else do it all. You know?
A good partner, a good.
Yeah, a balance.
Yeah.
Not expecting
Great.
somebody to be the caregiver all the time.
I have to figure out the right way to say that in very succinctly. Yep, so, and then we have wants. That's sort of the frosting on the cake. Maybe you love being on the water and you really should not be dating somebody who gets seasick. Maybe you want, let's think of some frosting. You love sailing, you love sporting events, you love music. Yeah. So you get the idea. These are your wants, and these all go into this nice list and this nice big profile. What happens when you finish what we just talked about is that you have this big 360-degree sphere of yourself with all these nice facets have been polished off. And they tell the story of you. They are the real. They reflect you. They're the real picture of you. And when you have that, you can see what areas that you want to work on yourself and what areas are in good shape. You can see what's important to you, and you can start focusing in on exactly who this person is going to be so that you have some ammo when chemistry hits. Okay. Now, okay, this is the girl embracing that 360 ball, or the guy, it doesn't matter, but that real picture of who you are on all levels. let's talk about raw attraction. Right here in the Adrian Lamb room. You're probably wondering what in the world I can say about this, that surely one size doesn't fit all. I mean, this can't possibly be universal. But I'm going to say that it pretty much is, because attraction goes back to our DNA again. So when you're looking at DNA, for the ladies, my keywords for you are feminine, authentic, and receptive. And it's really hard for women nowadays with the drive for equality to recognize that this is essential for attraction, that the woman has to move into this zone for the man to feel attracted. So in all cases, I would say, no matter what you do during the day, if you're a film director, if you're CEO, if you're accountant, if you're a teacher, whatever you are, take off the boss hat when it's time for the date. In order to get a man's attention, smile and just be. You don't have to perform, and you don't have to show up with a lot of achievements and have a list of things. He reads that as competition. And hunters don't date other hunters. I mean, this just goes back to the very beginnings. So for a girl, for a lady, let the femininity come through. Smile to show interest and just really become an invitation for love. Think of your time together as a dance and let him lead. Now this is interesting. This goes on during the initial period when you're getting to know each other. This is the natural way of things. And it works. If you come on with a lot of talk about achievements and you're performing and you're all jazzed up, you will have a great time, but he probably won't. You will, what happens is when the woman shows up, the lady shows up that way, you become friends, not so much romantic partners. And I know this is a real gear shift for most people, but any time then, if you were to go off and eventually get married to this person and have a really long-term committed relationship with this person, of course things relax and you go, he gets to know the full you, your strengths and weaknesses, and vice versa. But anytime you get into romantic troubles, you need to rekindle romance at home, go back to the waltz, go back to the dance, where he leads and the woman follows. Think of Dancing with the Stars, if you know that show. There's no lack of skill on the part of the female dancer. Is every bit as much skill as with the man, but he's leading. I know this is just freaks people out to think about this. I think it's interesting that access your personal worth and value for just being. Be yourself without competing. What is it? I have something else here. I'm not sure. Okay, so again, you're gonna wind up in a friendship if you can't maintain this romantic positioning. Okay. The men. Keywords here, I would say, are masculine leadership, confident, and calm. While men are attracted through their eyes, women are attracted through their ears. It's what they hear. That's what matters most. She can be with a guy who's not terribly attractive, and he'll sit across from her and he'll become more attractive as she listens to him and likes what she hears. It's really through the ears for a woman. So as the initiators, men's job is to negotiate the approach and the courtship. And the approach can be, just, it helps if the woman has looked at him and smiled, because then he knows that there is some interest there. But it can happen anywhere, where he then approaches her and just makes some sort of benign comment about what they're both experiencing at that moment. So if they're in the market, he might say, do you always buy your flowers here? Or in the dog park, something about what a beautiful day it is. Just some easy comment. And of course, humor is always fun, if, as long as she likes the humor. But the other thing I think for men is if he does make this, if he initiates and goes and starts up and she looks the other way or runs away or walks the other direction, that he really should not take it to heart, because I've had so many ladies tell me that they do that and they're mortified that they do that. But especially if he seems interesting to her by sight, she can't take it a lot of times. She just can't follow through. So I think it works both ways, that a lot of times guys crash, they just can't deal with her smiling at him and go up and say hello. And by the same token, she might not be able to follow through on her end either. So nobody should take it personally. The smile the lady gives is a gift. He hasn't done anything bad to you if he just looks the other way and keeps walking. People have so many reasons why they don't, follow through with each other. But putting it out there and just engaging in this way is really important. So women are attracted to men who convey a sense of power and confidence. It's not just about how big his bank account is. It's how he makes her feel. And that's really important. It's how he makes her feel. For instance, for example, it would never be good for a man to patronize her or to tell jokes at her expense. She would not feel good about that. And women are looking for men they feel they can trust. They say, I want to be able to feel safe with him. It goes back to the DNA. Men being the provider protectors and women being the nurturers. It does instinctually, that's where it goes back to. Okay, so where will you find this rare specimen? You can flirt really anywhere, but there's actually a hierarchy of venues, a kind of a good, better, best, that if you're, that you figure out based on knowing yourself and going through these exercises that we just went through. Level number 1 are public places, such as the post office, the Starbucks, the coffee shop, all of that. You can flirt all you want, but it's really kind of you can spend a lifetime at this and really come up empty. And there are a lot of frogs out there to kiss, and this is sort of a really long way around. So it's okay, and keep all your options open. But this is the lowest level. Okay. Now, one step up. Generic single settings. And now, besides the bar, we finally have the internet. So it seems like, there are other single settings, I suppose, besides the bar and the internet. But the internet is the big hot one now. And I would say it's just a one-up from the totally being generic. Again, it's great for practice. It's fun. It can be fun. And as long as you don't burn out and completely go home and give up and say you cannot go out with one more frog, so to speak, then, you know, you can keep going. But you can really burn out on the internet. It is mostly fueled by chemistry. Every man on there says, when I see her, I'll know. That's chemistry. And there is a lot of danger out there for men when they think that that's all they need to know. I mean, there are women that will just suck them dry. They'll just, and then move on. And the same with men. There are rogues who will hang with you for 2 or 3 months, take advantage. Finally, you know, they want your money, they want to move in with you, they're not up to it. So you really have to keep a sharp eye, and the internet is a very tough place to know what you're getting when, you know, on the internet. I do say if you're going to write a profile, it's nice to take 5 adjectives about yourself and then write little vignettes about those adjectives instead of saying, you know, I'm brave and I'm courageous. I mean, you can say, you know, I was bungee jumping in Australia last year, or, you know. So use some example of why you were brave or courageous and not just, I'm brave. Because everybody comes out with these lists and they're just really, you know, I like to laugh. I like walking on the beach. It's like, oh, kill me now, you know. So it's fun and it's good for practice. There's a lot of false advertising. That makes it really tedious too, that you have to sort through all of the false advertising. The next, now the waters are getting warmer here. Level 3, clubs. Level 3 is great because this is where you really shine. And when you shine, you laugh and you smile and you have fun, and that is very attractive. If you're a woman and you shine and laugh and you're radiant, that is very, very high on the level of attraction for them. Because a man is thinking, I can please her. She needs me, and I can make that girl happy. So it's when you're having fun and all of that, oh, this is a great place. And it's natural. And you might see these people over and over again. So you don't have to kayak. You can do lots of things. I mean, what are some good ideas besides kayak and yoga? Golf. Great. Wine tasting, I'm thinking. The dog park. I don't know if that's a great. Maybe Club Med for singles. The farmer's market. A political group. You know, there's lots of different places that these people hang out. You're people of your tribe, let's put it that way. These are your tribe. These people are in your tribe. So it's, and if all else fails, it's great for making friends. Okay, here is our top level 4. This is highly personalized. These are settings where you share important values, and these are the values that you've already figured out when you did your detective work on yourself. They're, you know, where people have your life purpose. You know, it could be the Peace Corps. You know, it could be a church singles group. It could be service clubs. But it's, let me just see. It could be around health. It could be around entertainment, a love of history. Maybe you're working now at part-time as a volunteer in a museum in the city or out here. You know, there's so many ways to get involved with just your particular, your people. So, another great way to find these places is to look at meetups.com or, build it and they will come. Make your own meetup. It's great. You could be a harpist. You can do anything under the sun, and you create a meetup, and it's within your zip code, so people within a certain proximity to your zip code will see the invitation or your new meetup and will come to you. And then you set up meetings for these people. And everybody is happy. It's quite amazing. I just saw a new meetup group. This gives you an idea of how funny everybody's out there. Daytime fun for night shift people. It's your imagination. You just have to go with it. So that would also be a great way to find the ultimate setting for meeting your ideal partner. Okay, now, it's hard to just jump into a relationship without the skills. I was talking about learning to play tennis or bridge or anything else you want to do, driving. It's not like you can tick these things off and go, okay, got it. These are practices that take a lifetime of honing and adjusting and working on. They're very deep. And what's so exciting is, these are different from men and women. I mean, we're hardwired differently, men and women. So when a man thinks communication, it's not the same as what a woman thinks. So therein lies the challenge. And so these become very important to keep working on. And they help us in so many ways. For a woman, it might be able to help express your needs so that you don't lose yourself in your partner's identity. They help with conflict resolution and basic great ways to communicate, get people's attention, get through life. They help us continue to deepen the connection and intimacy with our partners. So relationship skills are really, really great to focus on and learn. So kind of winding up here, the final word is, on the way to lasting love, approach your choices consciously and realize the role of chemistry. So, is there anything that anybody wants to sort of talk about, or any kind of takeaways from tonight? Yeah? Oh, well, it's interesting. Glamour, I don't know if you heard Glamour magazine, they did a survey and they put the word out to all these celebrities to ask them, what are the 30 things that girls need to know before age 30? Know or have, I think it was, before age 30. And they've made it into a book now. And one of the things on the list was, one of the 30 things a girl needs to know is how to not lose herself to her partner. Because, again, by DNA, we are people pleasers, we're nurturers, and we become very easily subservient, and we don't pay good attention to our needs, and when we do express our needs, it can sound like nagging or complaining, and they get dismissed. So communication helps you, good communication helps you understand how to express your needs so you don't get lost in somebody else's identity and put yourself on the back burner.
I was just reading this book called Will I Ever Be Good Enough? And it was dealing with narcissistic mothers, which I don't think has to pertain to just mothers, I don't think it has to pertain to just daughters. But that was one place where she felt we learned to sometimes take care of somebody else's needs if we had a self-absorbed mother who we were trying to get love and nurturing from. And if the mother isn't able to give that, then we keep trying and trying and trying, and therefore
Yeah, the beauty of coaching is that we kind of, all of the stuff, like those kinds of things, come up in our beliefs and our feelings about dating and love and having an open heart. They all sort of percolate up to the surface. But we take them and it's like, okay, I'm feeling like what you just described. Maybe I didn't get enough attention. I had a narcissistic mom, or so now I'm feeling like I'm chasing love. I need love. I'm an empty vessel. I need love. And so as we experience those things today, in coaching anyway, I say, when people are able to kind of look at steps they can take to move away from those kinds of problems or issues for them, then we work together to create little baby steps and moving away. And part of it is just being aware of it. Part of it is being. But if people can't move forward, then I refer them to a therapist. And if they want to go to a therapist, that's fine. But a lot of times in coaching, it's really about moving forward from today. So I don't dive deep. I just say, if it bubbles up and it's in your life today, and you want to acknowledge it and look for ways to release it or work with it, great, we'll do that together. And if it really just hovers and it just is sticky, then I just say, therapy. So I know we're driven by so many things. I mean, we have our whole subconscious. We're 99% driven by subconscious. That's why manipulating the energy is so important. We can retrain our brains. So our brains are telling us we're not worthy of love. And you can go in with affirmations and actually start retraining your brain. The first thing is acknowledgement. It's like a weed in the garden. You see it, you pull it up, and you replace it with a positive affirmation, and you repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. Eventually, there's a lot of success with actually creating new neural pathways in the brain. And a lot of people can do it that way. And then if people can't, and they've just got some deeper issues, then they really would need therapy.
How do you recommend we deal with the issue of, you talked about chemistry. So I find if you meet with someone and there isn't chemistry, it's very hard to be motivated to see them again.
Well, what I say about that is a man really has to have very high, 1 to 10, a man looking at a woman, he's got to feel very strong chemistry because it's physical for him. And if he doesn't feel that physical attraction, it's just kind of a no-way proposition for a romantic relationship. For a woman, she can do very well with a 7. Well, no, well, no. I hear you. What happens oftentimes, of course not every time, but oftentimes, for instance, a man comes along and a woman feels a 10, she stops being herself. And she'll do anything to get him. So she's very clever at figuring out what he wants and who he is and all that. And then she goes home and recreates herself and comes back, voila. And she's not being herself. So that's why, like, if you can take it down a notch, because it's with our ears that we're, ultimately attracted, we can be looking at somebody and they can become more and more attractive because they're being so great on other levels besides just the perfect hairdo or the perfect face or that driving attraction. It may be that you need to be an 8 or a 9, and maybe you need a 10. But if you're a 10, your chemistry is way crazy, and then it's really hard to stay authentic in your own self with that guy, as long as you're aware of it. I mean, when we're talking about the power of, these chemicals in chemistry are serious. Not to scare you. I scare myself. Yes? Yeah.
Would you speak a little bit about, I forget what this lady back here said, which one of these, but, the woman can express themselves, rather well, but they kind of sit back, you even said sit back and let the man take the lead and listen and so forth. How many dates does it take before you decide, no, he's not just it? And then, how do you break it to him?
Oh, well, Usually, it's good for a lady to give it 3 dates. Because there are lots of things at play. You know, he can be nervous, and you're not seeing him as himself, really. And you get to know him more. And in those 3 dates, you let him lead, you listen, listen, listen. So you're finding out who he really is. Is he the man for you? Is he the man for you? And all you need to do is be and smile. You're not trying to show off that you're the world's fastest or the biggest or the best or the anything. You don't have to perform at all. Your value is in being. It's kind of interesting. And then as time goes by, so when you first meet someone and they ask you, oh, what's your job? And that immediately you're being put in a masculine, you're wearing the pants all of a sudden, right? You know, what's my job? Well, So I would defer to, well, I really love tennis. And I work in town, but I can tell you, I really love tennis. Because you're not going to be working with him anyway. It's not essential for him to know that on day one. What's essential is what kind of, how are you able to get to know each other? Well, maybe we'll get together by playing tennis. Well, maybe we'll get together by our favorite coffee shop, or seeing movies. Try to not wear the pants in the first period. Just sit back and get to know him.
And then tell him what?
In order to say no thank you?
Yes.
Well, then I go to, basically the golden or platinum rule, and I think, well, how would I want to hear that? And I say that I've really enjoyed meeting this person, and I've really enjoyed meeting you, and I've really enjoyed getting to know you this far. I am on a search for a real long-term partner, and I don't think that we're a good match that way. But I really thank you for our dates, and I wish you all the best. How does that sound? Is okay. The last thing you want to do is hurt or punish somebody for having taken you and, showing you a nice time. So but you have every right to say no thank you, and the man knows that that might happen. And he may feel that way too. Yes?
Following up on what you were saying about perhaps not sharing your career, your title, what have you, I think that goes across the board. I think we define ourselves and other people by the print on a business card or what have you. And I think that can really limit you from getting to know anyone. Stop right there. And I'm not saying it's easy to do, but definitely, I think it's one of those things that if it's out there, you're defining statement, whether you're offering it or asking the other person. I think that right there is going to.
Yeah, I so agree. I think that's a really good point. Because, when we go on a date, we should leave our expectations at home, and we should let them show up as they really are, and not be judging this and that and this and that. They did this, they said that, how could they do that? Yeah, okay, so they're not your partner. And I'm building on what you said, but I know what your point was a little different. The stereotype that comes, he's in sales, so he's probably full of hot air, or, whatever the stereotypes are. I mean, goodness, I know how I feel when people stereotype me. I feel like I'm a really interesting, unique person. And I think everybody feels that about themselves. So the last thing we want are to be trying to live up to somebody else's expectations. So in place of expectations, I would say agreements. If you have an agreement that he's going to pick you up at a certain place at a certain time and that doesn't happen, well, you may make note of that, a little mental note. Okay, so he's not punctual. How do I feel about not being punctual? It was, at least this time, he wasn't punctual. Okay. But you're just noticing these things. He hasn't promised you anything, Just interesting, I think.
Are you saying that for the most part, the man is the aggressor
I know it's not commonplace, but we also are having a lot of trouble out there in our culture with romance right now. It's all haywire, and it's going haywire with a lot of reasons. I mean, online porn, all that kind of stuff. There's no way back after people get involved in that. There's no way back. So we need to, get back to what's really, where it really happens. And we know chemistry, we know what attraction is. It really is, it goes back to our DNA. And we shut down men's testosterone when we wear the pants and we dictate and we set the rules and we scold and we, he doesn't need a mom, he doesn't need somebody to take care of him. If he can't feel that he can take care of you and that you feel safe with him, you need him, and he can please you, there's probably no dance. Yes, that's a really good point. Yeah, that's a good point. And that is a very workable model, that when they agree that he will take, we both have yin and yang in us, where we all have yin and yang in us. So we all have some masculine, some feminine, and sometimes there's sort of an unwritten or sort of an agreement where she takes the more masculine role. Maybe she's the breadwinner, and maybe he's home, and maybe he makes the zen of the home, he does the home role. But there has to be kind of an agreement about that. You cannot have two yins or two yangs. Or, you know what I'm saying? Oh, she's very strong. Yeah. And it's an interesting thing to think about. But I think, out there in the dating world right now, there's a lot of confusion because women are still fighting for their equality, and it shuts men down, and they stay home. Or they just go and get whatever they can get and leave. It's kind of in a bad place right now, I think. Jen?
I think it's interesting what you say, because I am on Match, begrudgingly, and the profiles of what the men say they want is the opposite of what you have just said. They want someone strong, confident, good career, all of the masculine type qualities is what they say they want.
Yeah.
So it's very confusing.
Well, that's a really good point. So, but you know the secret now. The fact is he wants, let's see if I can remember, the key things that a man wants a woman he's going to marry. Sensuality and sexuality is just for fun and dating and having fun like that. But in a serious relationship, he first wants confidence. Secondly, authenticity. Thirdly, a passion in something in her life. So she has a twinkle and a passion, even if it's for whatever. I don't want to say something, it's just a passion for something, and receptivity, that she receives him. It's the way we're built. It's the way it literally, physically. He gives, she receives. And that's the number 4 thing, but I think almost that's number 1. But so these things come through. The confidence is important because he doesn't want a woman who's going to be needy and leaning on him and helpless and hopeless. And authenticity is he knows who he's dealing with. She's showing up for real. This is not, airbrushed. I mean, this is the real woman, and she's not afraid to be herself. And the passion, she gets excited about her children or the way she bakes her cookies or the way she manages 10,000 people in the office or whatever. She gets excited about that. And receptivity. So he does want those things, and that's true. But when you meet him on a date, I would not trot those things out. They're just below the surface. And in that date, you're being the feminine energy. So otherwise, he has no place for himself. And he'll go find somebody where there's room for him. It's like the yin and the yang, the commas, kind of thing. It's like if, the male and female, if there's no room for him, he moves on. But under the surface, this is not an attempt to dummy down women. This is about the chemistry and the attraction. So I can see Lori is back there. Are we winding? Okay. I do too. I mean, like I said, I never heard a talk like this when I was, before I got married. And that's why I say this talk is for 22-year-olds and 72-year-olds. It's for anybody out there. It's for 82-year-olds. It's for anybody. And why did I just say that? Because you were... Oh yeah, the movies and the books don't help us. They do not tell us anything. They're good for drama and for entertainment. But it's not real, and people, we believe our celebrities, and we believe what they're doing. This is the lives that we should live. It's not the lives they're living behind closed doors, I don't think, particularly the lives we see out on the, on the stage. So we have to know for ourselves how to manage.
In light of what you said, I have a question about, well, particularly the internet. It seems like a lot of men just want to chat back and forth and endlessly. It's almost like the reverse of what you're talking about, where men are not stepping up and initiating. So then that puts women in the position of feeling like we have to initiate, or else we're just kind of wasting our time endlessly in these virtual relationships.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that?
Well, I would say, a lot of this is about retraining the men, because they are used to women who take over. They're just doing the best they can to get it right. And they're used to women who do that. And so they think that if they come on as the strong man, they're going to get in trouble. So I would say be receptive. If you've had a date with him, or you could just say, it's so nice to have heard from you. It's so nice to have gone out with you. I enjoyed my time with your company. It was a lovely evening. Thank you so much. You let him know that you really liked it. If he gets into endless texting, you can say, it's not my favorite thing to text a lot. I just don't really like a lot of texting, or however you feel. And so you let him know kind of in a nice way. And then if he doesn't pull the trigger and make a plan or want to go out, he just doesn't have the courage to do it, or he's not doing it. He's not up to it. You got to move on. He's just not up to it. Don't know why some men. Anybody have an idea about that? Why guys? Yep. They have a double life. Is that what you said? Yeah, I mean, it's possible. They're doing it at their convenience and not asking you out, and it may be a fantasy for them.
Or they're just not ready. So it's entertaining for them to text, but they're not really looking for something serious, and it's frustrating.
Well, and that's a good reason to weed them out, because it's a waste of your time to be somebody's, little buddy, text buddy. Jen?
I just wanted to make a comment in that there is a lot of confusion out there, because I went on a first date with someone a while ago, and it went well, and I left and went out into the dark parking lot by myself. He called me a day or two later and told me how much fun he had, blah, blah, and I said, you let me walk out into a dark parking lot that I had no idea where I was. Sorry, I don't want to see you. And he said, I was going to lose no matter what. If I walked you out to the parking lot, you would have thought I'm trying to kiss you goodnight or make a move. And if I didn't walk you out to the parking lot, I would have been this non-gentleman. So he said, I thought I took the least of the two, bad things, and didn't walk you out. And, I really had to take that, a little bit to heart and say, okay, settle down. And he really was in a tough place.
See, that's the expectation and the agreement thing. If it were important, next time you could say, you know, I'd feel he would have just flipped out. He'd be so happy that you asked him and that he could save you and help you and keep you safe. He would love that. And meanwhile, he screwed up. He wanted to do the right thing. So again, expectation versus agreement. And be proactive about it. And say, it would be so nice if you'd walk me to my car tonight.
Well, I made the assumption that he would. But how do we know? So,
Yeah,
lesson learned, but, you know,
yeah.
just to note your point that there is a lot of confusion.
So much confusion. Yeah. What did you say?
She asked if I was interested in that.
Oh, yeah. But see, that goes under the category of training him. So if you did like him otherwise, it would have been a training moment. It would have been, you know, what's important to me is for you to walk me to my car in the dark. And then forever after, he would have. Since it didn't matter that much to you, you know. It didn't matter. But. Well, this has been really fun, I think. I just think it's so enlightening, and it's just so great. And thank you so much I really respect you for coming and caring about how to get this right and find your dream partner, and I hope you all do. I've got a little sheet that if you're interested in, it's called Relationship Readiness Quiz for Singles. And, you know, of course, I always have things that I'm doing. I have coaching circles, and I have coaching programs, and I have all those things. So,
3 different ones or 2?
3. Is everybody good? Thank you so much. Thank you.